Reindeers are better than people. Sven, don't you think that's true?
This is a question for Michael. Can you tell us a bit about how Sven became a bit more lifelike compared to the comedic kind of animation that he was on screen?
Lorenzo and I both had a request from the director that this become an acting character, a character who could really pull off emotion and was truly a empathetic character because it represented the woodsiness and authenticity of Kristoff.
Could you possibly tell me a couple of things about the outer appearance of Sven? Like, what are the significant materials you use for him? Just because I'd love to see it up close again.
We wanted a materiality that was consistent with Christopher Orum's set design and costuming. And there's a lot of fabric in the show. It's a material that's important. So we knew that we wanted to have a fur that responded to costuming. So we found a way to use a silk. These are little triangles of silk that we have pleated into a crinkled mesh, and they have an amazing elasticity, each one of them. It's like hair that stretches, right? And they're overlapped shingles, all of them individually painted, and they're translucent. So they grab light, they create a movement. You see that movement just happens as I move it around.
It's almost a bit like polar bear hair, how that's translucent with the black, and it just catches the light and bounces off.
It does. With Disney, I've always been given the luxury of getting it right and taking the time to get it right. So there were many iterations of Sven, and there were moments of question if we were going to be able to pull this off or not. And then it came down to the pure physicality asked of the performers.
I do remember that wonderful moment. We were in Denver, Michael, and you turned to me and said, "Hey, that worked." Because it was this amazing thing where we were kind of going into this uncharted territory in a really wonderful way. Andrew Perozzi is the guy that originated the role in Denver and did it all by himself. There wasn't an alternate. There was just him 8 times a week. And so between, all of us, this team Sven, we figured out what was possible and what wasn't. It's really an extraordinary thing. And it is magic because they're, especially when, sometimes there are kids in the audience, and honestly, it's not just the kids. There are adults that are thinking, how many people are in this thing? And how is this possible? And to me, that's the hat trick. That's the beauty of it. Because you forget.
Can I quickly ask, what do you think it is people love about Sven from the musical? What do you think draws them in about him?
Puppets actually pull more attention than a human actor. Immediately, because we as humans psychologically think something's wrong with this picture. And so it makes them listen harder. It's an easy technique. This is why I use puppetry. Sometimes they can gather focus in a way that a human actor doing their damnedest can't.
We're staring at the ground for most of the production. We can't really see where everyone is. When you're interacting with the characters, we've got to have a very good sense of eye lines and all of that, which is obviously for us, it has to just be muscle memory. But what was that whole process like of establishing the physicality of making sure it all works and the characters can interact?
There's a little thing that all the Kristoffs and Svens do before their first entrance, and they just check in with that eye line. And then you're good to go for the rest of the performance. And so that's the least, Mikayla, that's the least of your worries.
I just want to say congratulations, guys, on Australia. It's such a breath of fresh air to see theatre back.
Oh, thank you. It was great to be in a theatre again. Yeah, and we'll do it again in no time.
Yeah.
We'll be in the West End.
Bring it on.
Now this is quick. The fastest costume change in the show is only 8 seconds long, and it's for young Anna. Requires 3 people to help her, and then she has to hop on a bike and ride on stage.
Well, I, for one, am more excited than ever to be working with such talented actors. I don't know how I'm not going to spend the whole show just looking at how adorable Sven is.
He is pretty gorgeous, yeah, and so lifelike.
Well, talking of adorable, how do you go about bringing everyone's favourite magical snowman to life?
It is pretty special. So I get my own puppet as Olaf, but slightly different to Sven in that I'll be entirely visible, but with the gorgeous 4-foot-tall Olaf puppet here in front of me. So when I move, he moves. When he moves, I move. We both portray the character together.
Everyone seems to love and fall in love with Olaf. Why do you think that is?
I guess it's the innocence, you know. He is the child of the show in a way. He sees everything for just what it is. In the middle of the most melodramatic, world-collapsing moment, he'll just come out with a corker of a one-liner that sort of breaks the ice, excuse the pun.
Bringing Olaf to life on stage was no easy task. The solution was inspired by traditional Japanese puppet theatre called bunraku.
It feels like a great time now to hear more from the creative team about the process of translating the film for stage. Sit back, relax, and have a listen.
When you think about the miracle of the music of Frozen, it all comes back to Kristen and Bobby.
And we had to write, there's something like 7 songs in the movie, but for a full-length Broadway show, we needed something more along those 21, 22 songs. So that's more than, it's like tripling the number of songs in Frozen. Part of the challenge was to create a score that felt of a piece with all that, and that the songs all came from the same universe. And that took a little doing and a little strategizing, and we made sure that all the new songs were related musically to the old songs.
We scratched the surface with Frozen, the movie, and we got to go a lot deeper into these questions, and we got to really explore them for a more adult audience as well. We had 2.5 hours to play instead of 90 minutes. So we really got to dive into some of the psychology and also dive into some of the romance in a much deeper way.
I love choreographing and I love making dance, but I love the challenge of trying to do it not to make dance an extra element in the show, but to make the dancing a vital part of the storytelling. I think that's the choreographer's job, really. There wasn't much dancing in the animated film, and that's understandable. So it's been a great challenge to find the right places to put it into the live show. The new songs are spectacular. I don't think you can tell where the original songs stop and the new ones pick up. I think they're interwoven beautifully. They understand these characters.
Kristoff even gets a solo in Act 2, which we always wanted to write for the film and never found the right moment for it. Also, Hans gets a lot more material in this version, which was a lot of fun. You know, I think people have a certain idea of what Frozen is, and what I'm really excited is to share all of these new elements that we were adding to it. They really are going to get more than they think they're going to get.
One of the show's songs, Wailer, is inspired by Scandinavian Sami culture and the traditional form of song called joik. Can you imagine a sing-along at the Lopez house? All around the piano.
No, pulling out Oscar-worthy lyrics while you finish off the cheese.
Oh, cheese board.
Yeah.
Costumes are an essential part of any production.
Well, you could say that again. I wouldn't want to be on stage without them. Bit cold, apart from anything else.
Well, the cold never bothered me anyway. Anyway, back to business.
A costume supervisor is someone who bridges the gap between ideas and the designs and the reality of them, of what you see on stage. So you're involved with everything. So you would commission the makers, you source the fabrics, you have to liaise with the actors for fittings, talk to the designers about what they like about certain things, and then you have to make those changes and bring it to life. It involves so many people from so many different places. We become the extended family, and it grows and grows and grows. Surprising how big the team does have to be. Dressmakers, tailors, costume props, milliners, I could go on. There are about 154 costumes in the show that you'll see on stage, but there are maybe the same amount backstage, which are our understudies and our swings. Some of the actors will change at least 10 to 12 times in a show. And if, say, you've got an ensemble female who's also an Anna understudy, Anna's got about 10 to 12 outfits, and so she would have those on top of all of her ensemble track, which is about an existing 10 costumes. It's quite a lot to have at the ready, just in case. There's such a lot of material that already exists around these characters. It's a great show because there's so much variety. You're never too deep in one world before you have to move on to the next world. A really lovely thing for a big musical. There are 48 different flowers and grasses, 71 different ribbons within the garlands that the ensemble and young Elsa and Anna wear. It's so beautiful with an impact for the opening of the show. We have about 40 suppliers of fabric. It can span from Europe to Japan to Ukraine, all over the place. The hidden folk fabric is all about the movement. The dancers need to be able to move really freely. One of the brief for the fabrics was that it had like that kinetic energy where you could see all the fabrics moving and glistening, and actually they're sort of mythical, magical creatures. The most complicated costume is definitely the ice dress. It's quite extraordinary. It takes about 41 days for somebody to hand bead the crystals to the net, and there are about 18,000 different stones on the dress, and you sort of have to gently get there, and it's specific to the person wearing it. So if you've got 3 Elsas in the show, because you have 2 understudies, each one is individual to them. It can be quite overwhelming because it's absolutely covered with these beautiful, intricate sparkles. It can be an awe-stopping moment, especially put in line with all the music. It's pretty special. You end up having lots of people really sort of buzzing and quite excited because it's the first chance that they've had to really envisage themselves in that role with all the clothes. It really changes how actors feel about that part because the costumes make them move in a certain way or behave in a certain way that they might not otherwise. One of the most amazing things about working with Disney is that there are so many people working all over the world to make things happen. Having all those moments tied together for that time where we'll all be together to make it happen, you can only take it so far before you need to just see it in front of an audience and see it all together to be able to work on it for the next phase. It's the biggest show I've ever worked on.
There are a whopping 42 people in the West End cast, including 8 young performers playing young Elsa and Anna.
Now it's time for some quickfire questions with London's own Elsa and Anna.
Favourite colour?
Literally that, cornflower blue.
Oh!
So yeah, it's my granny's favourite colour. Sand or snow?
Sand, I'm so sorry. I know that's the wrong answer. I'm sorry, Elsa. I'm getting it all wrong.
Sweet or savoury?
Sweet. No, sweet.
No.
Savoury. Salted sweet.
There's never a more Anna answer than that. Sweetly salted.
Spicy or mild?
Mild.
That should be a spicy lady.
Fizzy or still?
Still. Too much gas. Train or plane?
Plane.
Don't you love a train? Don't you read a book?
Anything to avoid it.
Really?
Love the plane.
Films, snacks.
I love it.
Countryside or city?
Countryside.
Really?
Yeah.
I like a bit of both.
Roses or tulips?
Roses. Silver or gold?
I say gold, because I like white gold, rose gold. Bake or buy? Bake.
We're actually nerds.
Pink. Sand. Sweet, mild, fizzy. That makes me sound like a bunny rabbit.
I feel like I've learned so much about you.
I feel like I've learned too much about you.
Yeah. I feel like you've blown away all of my expectations.
It's hard to believe, but we've reached the end of our journey into the world of Frozen. Thank you all for joining us. We hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have, and we can't wait to see you at London's Theatre Royal, Drury Lane. Craig, it's been a pleasure, as always.
Obi, the pleasure is all yours. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Take care.